right, we are officially live. Welcome, everyone. As we typically like to do when we kick off our sessions, we like to give everyone a couple of minutes to come in. Maybe you're hopping off of a meeting or you're grabbing your drink, getting situated, getting comfy. This is going to be a jam-packed hour with so much good content. While we wait on people, Torie, what do you think about kicking off with an icebreaker question?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. So, spring break, March. Some people have theirs in March, some people in April. We're curious, guys, if you want to get your fingers warmed up with the chat box or the Q&A box even. We have both open to you. What did you do for spring break? Or if you haven't taken it yet, what are you planning for spring break? I know, Torie, you and your fam just took it, right?
Yeah, we are in Texas, so ours was a little earlier because our kiddos get out earlier than most. We get out in May. So
Mm. Oh,
we
wow.
headed back to California to visit some family. So that was really fun. Although I hate having spring break so early because it's not actually like spring weather. Like
Yeah.
it's still cold.
Yep.
So
That is
I
annoying.
wish our break was later, so we could enjoy some warmer weather, but here we are.
Yes. It's nice that they get out in May, though. Some kids don't get out till like June, like end
I
of
know.
June. Yeah.
Yes,
Justin, Justin says, spring break. What's that? I love a break.
I know. I mean, it's not a real break. I basically flew to California so my parents could babysit while I still worked. And my husband stayed here in Texas to babysit the dog and
There
go to
you
work
go.
himself. So
Yep.
I'm with
Yep.
you. I don't know what a break is, but
Yep.
at least my kid had one.
That's right. Yes. When you work from home, especially, like you kind of just work on the go. So
Yeah.
you really have to carve out a break to get a real break.
Yeah, exactly.
We're
I
getting
saw
some great
someone went to
fans.
St. Pete's. That I love St. Pete's.
I love St. Pete. Daniel says he did yard work. There's nothing wrong with that. Got to keep the grass looking good. Gordon visited our son at college. If you're just joining us, folks, we just asked a quick question before we get started to get our fingers warmed up in the chat box or the Q&A because we have both available and both are open for you today. Where'd you go for spring break? Or if you haven't taken one yet with the fam, where are you guys headed? St. Pete and Universal. William, you're not a loser. It's okay. I've been working all month long as well, so don't worry. Okay, I think just freezing here in Michigan. Yes, I can only imagine. College tours, love it. All right, I think we're 3 after the hour. So we want to make sure we respect everyone's time. So we're going to go ahead and kick this off. Are you ready, Torie?
Yeah, let's do this.
Okay, perfect. So let me just exit out some of these boxes here and make sure my view is clear. Okay, perfect. So before we get started and introduce ourselves briefly, we're going to share an agenda. We'll talk through all these different amazing topics today. I do want to say a couple of quick things. This webinar is being recorded. Yes, you will get the recording. And if you would like my slides, I would be happy to share our slides with you as well. So just want to get that out of the way. We've already got some questions in the chat about that. Now, the topic of today's webinar is how advisors can win new clients with tax focused webinars. And Torie and I have teamed up on this because we know there are two very effective growth channels for financial advisors today. I don't know why Zoom loves the balloons, but the two effective growth channels are taxes as an offering. All right, I got to put my hand down. Taxes as an offering is highly beneficial and sought after, and we'll talk about that. But webinars are also a growth strategy that can help you scale your business, right? So, sort of turning on webinars as a growth strategy at scale. We're marrying those two worlds today, guys, and we have a lot of good content in store for you. I'll start with a super brief intro of myself. This isn't about me, this is about you. And then I'll pass it on to Torie to introduce herself and we'll get started. So, my name is Diana Cabrices. I'm the chief evangelist at White Glove, and I position myself as an educator to financial advisors. I've spent my entire career helping advisors grow their businesses through marketing and through technology, which is why this webinar couldn't be more special to me because we're literally combining both of those worlds. I've traveled all over the country. I've spoken on dozens of stages. I've hosted hundreds of webinars. So I know a thing or two about having success with webinars. And I'm so excited to be here with all of you. Thank you for making the time. I'll pass it along to Torie. She's a tax planning technology expert with Holistiplan. Torie, if you want to jump in and introduce yourself quickly.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Torie Happe. I am head of partnerships over here at Holistiplan. I am a financial planning, this tech solution nerd. So I love to learn anything about technology and how it's making our space better. Been in the industry about 14 years. I can't believe it. It's already been that long. Started out in the broker-dealer space, and quickly learned that wasn't quite the spot I wanted to be because they weren't at that point so open about technology and allowing advisors to use technology to grow their businesses, right? So again, space has come a long way. We've seen a lot of those broker dealers hop on the bandwagons of technology, but there is a really great yeah, someone said there's like a block on the,
Yep,
yeah, there we go.
got it.
But yeah, so I kind of sit in between our product team and our sales team to help kind of find that best solution for advisors on the tax planning needs.
Which is such an important role, by the way. If you're an advisor, like Torie should be your best friend because everything that you're saying, this product could be better with this, or this product is doing this for me, she's taking that back and feeding it into the people who are actually developing the product. So, Torie, thank you
Yes.
so much for joining us today. And quick note, I honestly thought that your last name was always pronounced Happy. And I was like, what a cool and fun last name. I like Hoppy too, but I love it. Okay, so we have an agenda, folks, and I'm going to read some of these agenda items to you. Just a quick highlight. This is essentially how we've sectioned the content for you today. But I also want to say that today's session is about you and getting your questions answered on the topic. Now, we will have a live Q&A at the end of the session, so if you want to hold your questions until then, perfectly fine. In fact, we'll probably answer some of your questions along the way today. But if you want to, go ahead and drop any questions in the Q&A box. So you see that Q&A button on your panel here. Feel free to do that throughout. If we cannot get your question answered for any reason, we will make sure that we pass along your questions and your information to our team. They'll follow up to make sure your questions get answered. There's also a chat box. Some of you are using one or the other. I will say for questions, Q&A box is going to be the best. It helps us streamline those questions. And chat is just some banter. If you have comments or concerns or even your own stories to share, please feel free to use that in the chat. So it looks like we already got some chat going off. Justin says Holistiplan is the best. Josh loves Holistiplan. This is awesome. Okay. All right, so quick agenda, and then Torie and I are going to get started. So first things first, we're going to start with a section on why tax planning or tax marketing is a magnet for prospects. If you're offering tax planning, if you're thinking about it, if you've just started to do it, whatever that looks like, this is such an important opportunity for you right now to attract more prospects. The second section will be on how you can market your tax planning offer. And Holistiplan has been nice enough to give us some samples here from their marketing kit that they give to all of their users. The third thing we'll talk about is some strategies from White Glove. We have White Glove University. It's sort of our academy for event marketing for advisors. Some of the best advisors in the space that are getting the most success from webinars are sharing their strategies with you. And I've brought those into this webinar today. How to use Holistiplan as the perfect carrot dangler for moving webinar prospects along the buying journey, because hosting a webinar is just step one. In fact, marketing the webinar is step one. Then you host, then you have to convert, and that takes a strategy. We'll end with some advisor success spotlights. I see your dog there, Torie. Hello, he's so cute. What kind of dog is that?
He is a English lab, so he is our chief morale officer. He will pop in here and there. He typically just falls asleep on the couch. But yes, if you see a head back there, it is a dog, not a child.
I love it. I love it. Mine is an old Chihuahua. He's 16 and he's going to stay in the bed the whole time. He's by the fire. But yes, we'll spotlight some advisor success just so you can see what's working for your peers using tax planning technology, hosting webinars, and a combination of both. Okay, first, we want to hear from you all. I love starting out with knowing a little bit more about my audience. So I am going to go ahead and launch a poll for you, and we'll share this back so that all of you can see what your peers are saying. But we want to know, what do you currently position tax planning within your marketing? So we'll give you about 20 seconds here.
I feel like we need the Jeopardy like music playing while everyone is filling this out.
Next time I'm going to put that in. Yep. All right. Looks like we're still getting some responses. If you haven't answered yet, go ahead and answer. We'll turn this off in about 5 seconds, and then I'm going to share it back with all of you. And I'm liking what I'm seeing already. Okay, numbers have evened out. I'm going to go ahead and share the results. So you should see a pop-up right now that shows with you 66% of our audience today say that yes, they are positioning tax planning within their marketing. 16% are not. 16% are thinking about it. And there's some of you in the audience who have never even thought about it before. What do you think about this, Torie?
So we have done many, Holistiplan is huge on education. If you are a Holistiplan user, you know how big we are in education. So I love that this number of people that is offering tax planning is growing. So like, and marketing it, right? So as we go deeper into this slide deck, you guys are going to see some like really great data points around like the a number of people or clients that are requesting it versus who's getting it. So I love that we are starting to close that gap on, the difference that tax planning is making for a lot of advisors and their books of businesses. So I love that, again, a lot of this group is offering it somehow. But how are you marketing it? I think is the next big step there.
Right. Because the question wasn't like, are you getting results from marketing it? It really was just, are you
Right.
marketing it? And I'm sure some of you are getting results from marketing it, especially if you've been on a webinar with Torie before, or you use Holistiplan, you've worked with White Glove before on an event around taxes. So I agree with everything you said. I also think for the folks here who haven't started doing it yet, or maybe you're thinking or contemplating about it, there's going to be some really good inspo in today's session for you. So I'll go ahead and clear out this poll. Thanks everyone for engaging with us. Again, we love to hear from you. And we're going to start with our first section. So we're going to sort of lay some groundwork here. We could have jumped right into webinars, but I want to first zoom out a bit because I think that it's important to do so. Why is tax marketing such a magnet for prospects? And Torie, I know you have so much expertise around this topic, being so close with the Holistiplan team. What are your thoughts here on taxes and the fact that everyone is needing help with their taxes?
Yeah, I think the word taxes in general, when you talk to anyone, it has this negative connotation, right? I don't love talking about taxes. I know that's an oxymoron for working at a tax planning company, but it's not a fun conversation to have, right? We all feel that we pay a ton already, and like when you're filing your taxes, I always feel like we're sent to the principal's office, right? As you're filing your taxes, you are there to prove that you've already like what you've paid and how you've done it. Where it's like how is that a good way to like deal with taxes, right? I'm
Yeah.
no tax expert, again, sitting in a seat, oxymoron, right? I work for a tax planning company, but like I'm not proficient in it. I file my taxes, my tax preparer does it for me, and I just kind of write a check at the end of the thing, what I owe, and hope that that was right, right? Like we're not none of this is perfect. So I think like having that negative connotation and being able to take away that negative connotation that taxes has for a lot of folks, I think that's super important. Being able to show them that you care, you're listening to your client, that hey, tax planning is really important to me. You're listening to them by saying, okay, great, I hear you. I've taken your return and created this really nice tax report for you to go over, for us to go over. Really easy, simple conversation to have. But if you wanted to dig deeper into it, you can go into like the scenario analysis, right? So being able to just open up that door of communication, I think is really great. And then you're starting to take off that negative connotation that taxes has for people. It's not a surprise to them in March and April when they're going through their tax planning needs. They know that you have tackled this for them all year long. So trying to like humanize taxes for them and not making it this like negative experience for them, I think is really important. And that's kind of what the opportunity is there, right?
Yep.
No one likes to talk about, death and no one really likes to talk about taxes. So being able to like help them through just one of those negatives is always such a positive experience for most clients and advisors.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And just you as an advisor, you're already in that role of being so
Mm-hmm.
close to them and such the topic of money is highly emotional, right? So taxes are like this side thing to it that's like, oh, this is this ugly thing over here I don't really want to address. But as an advisor, I'm going to help you address it. And we're going to do it step by step. And it's going to be really simple. And it's not going to be this huge, ugly thing. The fact of the
Right.
matter is that everyone needs help optimizing their taxes, right? If you earn income, you need help with your taxes. If you have a pile of cash at retirement, you're going to need help with taxes. Business owners, 1099, W-2, pre-retirees, re-retirees, everyone needs help. So there's a huge opportunity. Everything you just said, honestly, it tees up these next two slides really nicely because there's a study done by Herbers and Company, and they've found some insightful data that I thought we would talk about a little bit here too before we start getting into like how do you do this stuff on a webinar. But 9 in 10 investors want help with tax planning from their advisors. So pretty much everybody wants help with tax planning. 73% of firms offer tax help to some degree. Now, how many of that percentage are actually doing it at scale, or are they offering it to all of their clients or just the higher net worth clients? Like that's to be determined. But I know that there's an opportunity here for more, right? There's still some gap in the marketplace where advisors just aren't offering it at all. And when you look at this next slide, which I find to be really interesting, it's from the same study, in brown on this bar graph, you can see what advisory firms are offering. So things like business planning and education planning and employee benefits. And the purple is what consumers are actually desiring. And these are consumers over 250K. So you start to see those pretty big gaps up on the left side. And again, it goes to show us, could there be more firms out there that would benefit from shifting the focus? I'm not saying getting rid of these really important services because they are important, but sort of shifting the focus here. So Torie, I'm sure you've got some thoughts on this too.
Yeah, and I find it interesting too, again, that this study is for clients over 250,000 in equity um in pay,
Yep.
but we all pay taxes, right? And the large number of us, again, being that I am a millennial, I love to look at my own generation. We are starting to come into our highest income earning years yet. So we may not be at that cusp of $250,000, but we're quickly approaching that as we're coming into these years. I get that advisors are trying to, uh, to manage offering tax planning. I totally understand, right? You had to pick a bucket to start with.
Yeah.
What we offer and what we make it so accessible for you to do is to be able to offer tax planning to everyone, right? Um, yes, your pre-retirees are in need, but also those people that are starting to make more in income are going to need tax planning too, right? What if they start bumping into a new tax bracket they've never been in before, right? How do you measure that for them? How do you make them understand that going into that next tax bracket is not as scary as they think, right? There's options that you can do for them in their planning needs. So I love these surveys, but it also leaves out a huge generation gap at the back end of it because yes, there's a huge number in that section, but there's a massive number coming up behind it. So I do think that again, tax planning is a huge win for advisors because we're all paying it. Down to your 12-year-old that has a paper route. Not saying that he or she needs tax planning yet, but my almost 11-year-old, we have this joke about him thinking that taxes is theft because we make him, again, we live in a no state income tax, but he still has to pay taxes on that, lawn service that he still had. So, everyone is thinking about it.
Absolutely. I love that story. And you made so many good points there. So basically, there's an audience being left out, and that audience is coming up extremely quickly. As our friend Penny Phillips said on a session recently, and I just started laughing. She said, Millennials aren't on their couch eating avocado toast anymore. They are buying homes and families. And I'm like, I
Right.
resonate with that. Although I'm still eating avocado toast on my couch, I'm also working on those other things
Right.
too. So it's so true. Everything you said there was awesome. And I want to point out a quick question that we got in the chat from Elaine. Elaine, thank you for this question because I'd like to give it my 2 cents and then Torie, feel free to add in. But she says, my
Yeah.
concern is marketing a service for which I have no official training, offering tax advice. How do I stay in compliance regarding marketing? My first initial thought to that is this is exactly why technology exists. It's just like the big technology and estate planning boom for advisors right now. Same thing. You're not estate planning attorneys, but there's two sides to everything, right? There's the legal side, there's the tax code, and there's the life side and the planning and saving money ahead and different investment strategies and what happens when you're nearing retirement and now you need to pull out from those investments and those retirement accounts. How does taxes work then? Those are things that and you frankly should know to some degree as a financial advisor, helping clients with retirement or even before retirement. But technology is the first thing that comes to mind for me to be sort of that support and that guide there to make sure you don't go out of bounds. Any thoughts on that, Torie?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think too, we get this question all the time. How do you differentiate yourself between tax advice and tax planning? A big thing for us is that we are actually not, all we are looking at is that return of the clients, right? You're just uploading it and getting observations based off that return. We're not filing the return for them. We're not doing any of that. It's strictly exactly what you would be doing with the client's portfolio, right? You're going to upload that swab account that they have, look at their holdings and give them some planning advice around what they could do better for that portfolio. That's exactly what we're doing, but we're just doing it with the tax return instead of a portfolio.
Yep, love that. Francis, I see your question in the Q&A, and I'm going to answer this question a little bit later in the presentation. We've got a slide exactly on that. Okay, so we're going to move along here, and I think we've got one more slide in this section. We just wanted to quickly highlight what are some of those planning opportunities. Taxes, the topic of taxes, they open up planning opportunities. So Torie, I grabbed some of this from the Holistiplan marketing kit, which we're going to show some pieces to all of you here in a moment. But you've got tax efficient portfolio management, retirement optimization. So if you're an advisor, just making it clear, comprehensive knowledge of your tax situation allows me to better understand the role each of your retirement accounts plays in your overall financial strategy. Any other thoughts that you have on this, Torie?
Yeah, I think a great example here is we hear it time and time again from advisors is Roth conversions, right? How does a Roth conversion help with my tax planning needs? So you're able to actually model out a Roth conversion in our platform. And then with that Roth conversion, there's actually a Roth conversion worksheet that we have in there. Part of that worksheet is our Roth conversion explainers. So you're able to like deep dive farther into the education of what a Roth conversion is and why a client may want to take that opportunity, right? And then by doing that, you're able to then go into your financial planning tool and know that your client has now wanted to take advantage of a Roth conversion. So you're able to add that into their portfolio management piece, right? So now you know that they're going to do, and again, the number sounds, maybe small on the smaller end, but maybe they're going to want to do $100,000 Roth conversion. So now the client knows that they could do that Roth conversion, stay within the tax bracket that they're already in. And then you, the advisor, know that we have a $100,000 Roth conversion. So you can put that into their financial planning, into your financial planning tool for them to understand that next, retirement optimization that they're going to take advantage of. So again, just one example there, but we've got other explainers for DAFs and QCDs as well for you to take advantage of.
Love it. We're going to talk more about explainers and content ahead as well. Let's get in a little bit to the actual marketing kit. Now, before we start talking specifically about webinars, just a couple of things. We're going to look at some different ways that Holistiplan helps advisors market this offering, which you can, get some inspiration from, whether you use Holistiplan or not. My goal with every webinar I host is whether you use White Glove or Holistiplan or not, you're going to walk away with value here and inspiration for things you can do in your own business. So I want to talk about that. And then just to reiterate, because we're getting some similar questions in the chat. Yes, this is being recorded, and yes, you'll get access to the slides after the fact. So Torie, let's talk about the marketing kit. When you sent it to me to prepare for this webinar, I was blown away. There were so many pieces, and they so beautifully take the topic and simplify it. And I think there's any way to win with a marketing strategy, it is to have very simple positioning, because what you think, makes sense in your brain about the topic probably doesn't make sense in the brain of investors and common people like myself, like Torie, like everyone else in the world who's not an advisor. So Torie, talk us through some of these pieces of content here. And I know we've got some more on a few other slides.
Yeah, so we created this marketing kit based off the questions or examples that many advisors had written into us about. So again, how do they market to their clients to make them understand why they're offering tax planning as a solution for their particular clients? So we have 3 really great examples here. These are kind of like one pagers that advisors are using to get the word out about tax planning. The first one on the left is why tax planning matters. So a lot of advisors are using this as like an email campaign for their clients to understand why they're now offering this to them. They also, some even list this on their website or their socials to let people know that they are now offering tax planning and why tax planning is so important to many clients. And the next one, again, Medicare is a huge topic of conversation, especially for tax planning. So we again made a white paper there for advisors to use with their pre-retired or retirees. And then again, another one that just kind of hits on a topic that we always get on, minimum distributions and how that works. Because again, clients know that they need tax planning, but they don't really understand how or what, how it works, what they should be doing. So again, visualizations for them to understand it. All of these are available for you if you are a Holistiplan user. You can also white label them and add your disclosures and disclaimers. Good news is if you are an LPL advisor on the call, we also got the marketing kit approved by your compliance. So you would just need to write into us to let us know that you want access to it. And then we have a compliant approved LPL kit ready for you to use. So it'll have all of those requirements that LPL requires, disclosures, the marketing, what are those? Still like tracking numbers, all of that good stuff. So if you are an LPLer on this call, we've already taken care of that. If you are with another broker dealer that we are approved with, know that they are under review and hopefully ready for you guys shortly. But the marketing kit just, again, gives you an easy rinse and repeat that you can use for all of your clients. We wanted to make sure that you were not using up your time to create these deliverables for your clients. They're just there for you to use.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. As a former vice president of enterprise, that like you're speaking my language, getting anything approved through LPL, like I'm so proud of you. It's no easy
Thank
feat,
you.
guys. And I know the
It is
advisors on
no
the
easy
call.
feat.
It's not. I know the advisors on the call appreciate that as well. So these are awesome. By the way, folks, in our taxes and retirement webinar that we help advisors with at White Glove, these are a lot of topics that we're talking about: RMDs, different tax buckets, gifting, charitable contributions, all of these things, Medicare as well, supplemental, like all of that is coming into conversation. Couple other slides, and these are again from the Holistiplan marketing kit. So things that you can put on your website, on your social media. I actually, when I posted about this webinar, an advisor from LPL commented and she said, I just posted my content today. And I went and looked at it and it looked really good. Again, you can white label it, put your own logo, all that good stuff, but super in your face, right? Ask us about tax planning. That should be up front on your website alongside any other services that you provide, right? Investments, estate planning, whatever that looks like for you. And this is an amazing call to action, right? Like if you want this report, then do this, right? And so we're going to talk about how that looks in the world of webinars as well. This is just another quick sample. Again, we'll make sure everyone here has a copy of our slides to get some inspiration for, but look how it breaks it down super easily. What is tax planning? Why is it important? Who's it for? what kind of opportunities might be identified. So this is great content. I see the Q&A box is blowing up. Just a quick question for you, Torie. We're going to save most of our questions for the end, but is Holistiplan approved with Cetera advisors?
Not yet, but we are very close. So
Okay.
I know many Cetera advisors are probably wondering where we are at. I'm at the final negotiations for that contract.
Beautiful. Love that. And then if you are with LPL and you use Holistiplan, where can you find your marketing package?
Yeah, if you are a LPLer, please email into support@holistiplan.com and they will send you that pre-approved marketing kit to use. And if you
Awesome.
are I think I saw someone say they're already a Holistiplan user and they're looking for the toolkit or the marketing toolkit. If you go up in the top right-hand corner, go to tools and resources, it'll show up on the little slide bar for you to choose. It's all the way on the right-hand side.
Okay, perfect. So if we didn't get to your question again, folks, we'll circle back at the end. One quick ask I have out of all of you, because you're asking questions real time about something we said, try to be as detailed as possible in your questions so that when we get to the end, we know exactly what you were talking about. I just saw a couple of questions that maybe at the end, we won't know exactly what you were referring to. Okay, awesome. Now we're going to move into the meat and potatoes, if you will, of today's session, because we know you've all come here to learn how to win new clients using tax-focused webinars. So I'm going to give you some of the tips that are coming directly from advisors that we work with at White Glove that are doing this so very well. I've watched master classes. I've listened to master classes by them. I've taken screenshots. I've assembled as much as I possibly could in the time that we have today. And again, if we don't have enough time to cover everything, there will be a way for you at the end to book your own one-on-one personalized webinar strategy session where you can ask all of the questions that I wasn't able to get to today. So let's dive right in. So first things first, I just want to highlight from a very high level the power of the webinar. I operate my entire business off of webinars. White Glove hosts a ton of webinars for advisors, but we also host them like we're doing today to reach advisors like yourselves, along with consumers on the advisor marketing side. We know a thing or two about webinars, and they are highly effective in humanizing your brand. What does that really mean? You can write a blog post on taxes and retirement. You can write a blog post on taxes for business owners, and you can have some really good content there. And that is a very important medium, by the way. But it's just not the same as you getting front and center, screen to screen here. You can see my energy. Maybe you can see my broken nail here. It's a little embarrassing, but you're really getting to know me right now, and you're really getting to feel the Diana, right? Like to really understand who Diana is. The same with Torie. It's the same for you. That is why webinars are powerful. They are also a great way to scale your business nationally if you'd like to, if you serve clients everywhere, but also locally, and do it from the comfort of your own home. We often say webinars are a great starting point for advisors who don't really want to get in person. They don't want to host, workshops in person. Maybe you've been burned in the past from seminars. I don't, we get it. We totally understand. Webinars are a great way to still be able to form that connection without having to physically shake someone's hand that you don't quite know in a big room where you're teaching them something. So that is the beauty of the webinar. Now, what I have done, and we'll talk a little bit about these success ingredients, is I've split this section up into a few different sections. Before the workshop, during the workshop, and after the workshop. Now, I call it workshop because that's truly what these webinars are. They're not just a one-sided you talking the entire time. It's a true place of education, learning, and exchange of information. You want to learn about who's in the room virtually. They want to learn about you. They've come to learn about the topic. There's a lot of different things you need to get right with a webinar, right, to make it successful. You need to know your market. You need to be able to position the webinar strongly that evokes curiosity and drives real interest. You need to make sure you have a good tech platform with tech support, how to market to a higher net worth audience, or maybe if that's not who you're going after, that's okay too. Just how to market to your audience. When the registrations start coming in, what's your game plan? How often are you going to remind them about the event up front? Are you going to call them? How are you going to email them? What does that really look like? During the session, creating some live engagement using polls. and then really just showing up and giving a great presentation. Everything I'm going to share with you today about marketing your webinar, none of it matters. You can fill the room of a webinar. None of it matters if you don't nail the presentation. If you don't have content that's actually engaging for people so that they want to come and listen to you and actually take that next step. That's the purpose of this. So we're going to start with before the workshop. Now, I've listed a few different things here. I'm just going to kind of quickly go through. I've actually made some notes for myself because remember, a lot of this is coming from our top performing white glove hosts, which there are many when it comes to webinars and seminars, and I'm pulling some of their strategies and sharing those with you as well. The first things first, before a workshop, you have to actually market your webinar. So you can do that in a variety of ways, right? And you should already have some of that tax planning marketing existing, but let people know that you are hosting an event. Let them know exactly what they're going to learn. This is just a quick screenshot of one of the ones that we've marketed in the past. We do things a little bit uniquely at White Glove. We have a different brand that we use that's got 5-star ratings across Facebook, Better Business Bureau. It's been mentioned in Forbes. It's got a huge online and in-person credibility factor that helps us drive registrations for our advisors. But that aside, if you're doing this for your own brand or you're not working with White Glove, what you can take away from this is make it super easy to register. There's a big button and tell people exactly what they're going to learn. So for example, the 2024 tax changes and how these could alter your retirement plan, or the changing rules for a retiring generation of baby boomers, Social Securities, deductions, a basic overview of tax rules. So they're going to come and they're going to learn exactly these things. So this is just another quick example of how you could really put it there. You can kind of bucket the different topics that they're going to learn about, but be really, really, really clear and make sure that you lean into maybe some of their pain points that you know they probably have. I'm going to run through these other quick bullet points, and then we're going to talk about during the workshop, which again, all of this doesn't matter if you don't nail it during the actual webinar. Background and lighting. Right now, I have a light that is shining in front of me that's reflecting in front of me here. I would never operate a webinar with a window behind me. So that's a big no-no. First impressions are everything, even in the digital space. If you show up all dark and no one can see you, they're not really going to take you seriously. Use a good mic as well. So that's actually going on pitch. I use a Blue Yeti. This is how you can hear me crystal clear. If you aren't using a good microphone, you just, again, it's first impressions. You want people to take you seriously. Content and branding. So Torie, I'm going to pull you in on this because I know with Holistiplan Marketing Kit, you don't only get social cards and email templates and things you can put on your website, but you also get some slides, correct?
Yeah, so we do have slides in there for you to use. Again, if you're creating a workshop on tax planning, we got that stuff in there. But I want to hit on the branding piece of this. You're able to brand everything in our marketing kit to fit your business and what your look and feel is. We just give you the content to run with, right? I think branding is a huge piece of our industry that many advisors miss on.
Yeah.
So being able to do that with our marketing kit was really important to us. So make sure that you are branding it, that it looks and feels like you. We don't want it to look and feel like Holistiplan. We want it to look and feel like you. So we've got all of that in there for you. And like I said, you can add disclosures and disclaimers in there, your logo, your headshots, all of that good stuff that again makes it more personable. We just kind of give you, the starting point and the guardrails to kind of, you're not having to reinvent the wheel when you're trying to create a deck for your event.
I completely agree that I had a whole note here on branding because, if you don't have the internal in-house people like to get hands-on with that deck and brand it, go on to upwork.com or fiverr.com and find a freelancer who can do it for $10 or $15 an hour and have them rebrand the slide deck. You're going to be able to use that slide deck over and over and over. So it's a one-time design for something that you can consistently use over and over and over. I could not agree more. That is so important. Whether you're using Holistiplan or not, at White Glove, we also have some content partners that design really beautiful content. But even then, we still say, go get this branded to your firm. So that's super duper important. Okay, so that's before the workshop. I want to spend a little bit more time during the workshop because this is really where, again, you're going to drive engagement. You're going to drive, hopefully, conversion so that people take that next step. But when you're hosting a webinar, it's different than meeting someone in person. It is different than a referral coming your way. It's completely different. You don't have the same energy, the same sort of warming up of someone in the relationship with you that you would if you were doing it in person. So the opening, the education, the final ask, that next step you're going to ask of them is really, really important. First tip on the opening is to have someone introduce you. So this is Fiat Wealth Management. The speaker that you're going to see in the slides ahead, he's not on the webinar just yet. The opener is having someone else come on and introduce you because it gives a more professional feel. And they can go through the housekeeping items for you so that you, as the advisor, when you step on that webinar, you go right into your story, into your engaging opener, and into your content and education. This one is kind of funny. You might be asking, why the heck is there an elephant in the picture here? So they start with being super transparent and they say, hey, we're going to be honest with you. The elephant in the room here, let's bring him out. His name is Frank. You are here to learn and get educated. We are here to educate you. However, so many of you will probably have questions about your own unique situation. You're going to want some one-on-one follow-up. We are a for-profit business. We are here to help you with your situation, with your financial situation. And so after the fact, if you want to work with us, the option is absolutely there. But on today's session, our job is to educate you, right? So there's a psychology to doing that, to starting with being so darn transparent. And you're almost starting with the close in your open. You're sort of telling them up front what's going to happen at the end, that there's going to be an option for them to talk to you further. The second thing here is once you do hop on, so this is Brad, the advisor, you go right into an engaging opener. You do not start talking about yourself and why you do this and who you do it for. This is not a sales pitch. This is you going right into something interesting. I loved this story. In fact, this is him giving a taxes and retirement webinar. It's what we focus on at White Glove because we've dialed it in so well with the marketing. Yes, you can host tax webinars for millennials or business owners, whatever that looks like for you on your own. But at White Glove, we do taxes and retirement because it helps us cast the widest net and it truly helps us get the most conversion for our advisors. The story that he started with was about Mount Everest. It's, the biggest mountain. A lot of people attempt to climb it every single year. And what he said was super interesting because he mentioned on the climb up, on average, about one person per, I can't remember what it was, let's say year. I could be totally wrong on that, but one person on average will pass away. Okay, but on the way down, on the descent, on average, about 4 people pass away. And he makes this really interesting relation to taxes and retirement because you go your whole life ascending to that retirement peak, that pinnacle, and you're living below your means, you're saving money, you're doing all the right things. But then you get to retirement and now you have to come down. And the rest of your years, you have this huge pile of cash. And if you're not optimizing that with these tax strategies in retirement, you can completely blow it, right? So it's actually, he argues harder on the ascent and he just draws this perfect line to taxes. So I say that because it is so important to have an engaging opener that's going to reel people right in. Let's get to the education. And I know there's some more content here I want to talk about with you, Torie, around Holistiplan. First things first, you're there to educate. You're there to give them tax education and tax concepts within your bubble, right? I know some of you are in the chat talking about be careful with this, be careful with that. This is good that you're doing that because you do have a bubble around you if you're not a CPA. And so as an advisor, you can talk about things like the different tax buckets and the marginal tax rates. And you can talk about, the other types of tax buckets. Brad calls them the 3 tax buckets versus the 7, which is capital gains and how that changes things. And then you could move into deductions and how that works and how that actually changes this tax map that you see here. So he does a really good job with using lots of visuals and educating. He also drives a wedge constantly. Compare yourself to advisors down the street. Bring your stories in. How have you helped X people or this person with X topic, right, around taxes? Torie, I know with content, one of the things that we recommend at Y Club our advisors do is throughout the session, sort of put guides or, links to one pagers that further talk about the topic in the chat during the webinar. So people can click on it and start looking or save it for later. Holistiplan, tell me a little bit more about some of those like offerings that you have that your advisors can use too.
Yeah, so I think again, one of the marketing toolkits in the marketing toolkit that we offer is that like why tax planning matters. That's always a really great conversation piece to start. You could drop that easily in the chat. Again, it's something that the client can download. We've also seen it too, where advisors are building out a section on their website. A couple of slides back, Diana had shown like some verbiage around tax planning and why this firm is particularly offering it to their client. They drop the link to that page, so now the clients or prospective clients are on your website. So you've driven them to the tax planning like section of your website, but now they're on your website, so now they can really poke around and like find out who you are and why is this so important to you. So I think that is really great. Again, using our tax planning marketing kit to get that out there for the client. I think I mentioned before, we also offer a few like Roth conversion explainers. So being able to pop those in there for the advisor or for the client to really understand what those are and why does it matter to them. So we've got a couple of those to offer. So we've got like, again, the 30,000-foot view of like why tax planning matters, all the way to like if you are having a peer discussion on Roth conversions, we've got, an explainer for that.
That is great. That is wonderful. And this is, guys, just another way to beef up the content, make it more engaging. Ask them a question when you start as well. After that story, ask them, why are you here? What do you want to know? Get that chat moving a little bit, just as me and Torie did, right? You came in here and we immediately asked a question. We want to get everybody comfortable talking about themselves as well. Why are you here? That's super duper important. So awesome. I really, really appreciate that, Torie, as far as just where Holistiplan can also provide some of those content and those assets. And we're getting a lot of great questions, folks. We have just a couple more minutes, and then we're going to get into the Q&A section of this. I'll just hop through this last piece, the final ask. This is during the workshop again. And so in the final ask, because this is a webinar and you're not in person, shaking someone's hand, letting them do that gut check with you, they don't quite know you as well, although they've gotten to know you a little bit better because you're face to face, screen to screen here. But you're not going to go in and ask for a full hour-long meeting. That's not really going to be a mountain they're going to want to climb right away with you. But you can ask for a 20-minute mini consult. Okay. And so what's happening during that mini consult is essentially you're putting on the screen that it's an option. You can drop your calendar link directly in the chat of the webinar or have some sort of pop-up depending on what tool that you're using, but you're considering it just a visit. You're not calling it an appointment. And in that mini consult, which we're now kind of getting into after the workshop, and I'm going to go back a slide here, you're asking them two questions. What brought you to this workshop? And what questions or concerns do you have that made you willing to take 30 minutes, 40 minutes out of your day to learn about taxes and retirement? That's 2 minutes of you talking. The rest 18 minutes should be them talking. So that's super important if you want to move them along. We're going to talk about where Holistiplan kind of plays a role in that in just a second. A quick few other items, call them. Call everyone that showed up on the same day. Call them twice. If they don't answer the first time, don't leave a voicemail. Call again, then leave a voicemail. Use drip campaigns to make sure you're following up with them. Again, with technology, you need to make sure you have your CRM in place. If you are hosting a webinar, please don't have a webinar with 200 people show up and then you have no CRM to help follow up or no system. White Glove system is Nurture and Engage. You might use some of the other tools out in the industry. That mini consult we talked about, which leads into that first visit and then that second visit. And that is where Holistiplan really shines. So, Torie, I know I have done a lot of talking, but I would love if you could just showcase in just a minute or so, like how can advisors really move these people along from that mini consult to that first full visit by dangling that carrot of get your free tax report.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, you've already prospected these clients. They're really great warm leads for you. And you used it as simple as, would you like to get a free tax report? Again, that could be the deliverable to the client after they've attended your event.
Yep.
So Diane, if you could just toss the free chair.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yep.
Um, so here we go. So once you have their tax return in hand, you're probably thinking, what do I do with it now? When you log into Holistiplan, you're going to hit this upload return button. And since this is a prospect, oh, before I even get that far, we're able to upload up to 5 years. But again, this is going to be the client's most current year in tax return. So you're just going to hit 2023 because that is the year that we're in. You're going to hit create a new household. And from here, you need very little data to input for this client. So you just need their first name, their last name. I always like to plug in the date of birth just because there are some age reminders that you would want to hit with the clients just in case. So we're going to plug in this client. I'm going to make myself quite a few years older here just to play around. And then you're going to hit click or drag and drop the returns and hit upload. And within about 45 seconds, you are going to have a return to go through with the client. So I'm going to quickly log into one that I did right before we hopped on the call, just so you can see. And you can see over here, it's going to process the return that I just dropped. But
Mm.
once you complete that, you're going to get this tax report to go over with the client. Again, super easy, whole numbers that you're going to talk through, key figures box, and it's going to break down line by line for that return. Like I mentioned, this is all you're able to white label. So you're able to add your logo, your disclosures, all of that good stuff. So you're going to go through this report with the client, and then you're going to go through these observations. This is where that tax planning piece really starts. These are those different things that you can take advantage of for the next year. So again, a great way to get clients or prospective clients engaged with you. And then you can say, hey, if you have questions, let's set a meeting to go through this. Let's set a meeting to talk about your tax planning options or observations. Again, it's a great starter case for you to have with that client and bring them into the fold of your business.
That is awesome. And on our end, what some of our advisors do is, again, you have that mini consult, and then you say, hey, if you want, I'll give you a free tax report. I just need your return. And then the Holistiplan does it all for you, as you saw in just a
Yeah.
matter of a minute, which is incredible, using technology to guide your conversations and your advice, and your entire offering is awesome. You can do it at scale. So that first visit that happens after the mini consult is where you're going into that in detail. And then that second visit, guys, is where you're telling them, here's a pathway to work for me. And you're really going more into a scenario analysis type situation. So that's sort of how the dots connect. Again, we could have talked about so many other things with hosting a webinar. We did want to quickly showcase a few advisors having success. This is Monica Osborne. She's a Holistiplan user. Torie, do you want to share anything about Monica's story with Holistiplan?
Yeah, I love this one. That this is the one you chose as the menu that I sent over. It was a way she just was able to quickly scale tax planning in her book of business, to really highlight that she didn't have to choose one bucket of clients to work with over others. She was able to really roll this out to all of her clients. She knew that tax planning was a huge win for her and a win for her clients. So just being able to roll this out with instant value, I think is really, really important to highlight here. Not,
Agreed.
again, the tax savings and the errors, and those are always really fun conversations and case studies that we have. You can see those on our website, but this one, just being able to show how she was able to quickly roll this out to her clients is so fun to see.
Yeah, and it goes off what we were saying earlier. It's just, out of the 73% of firms offering tax planning to some extent, like who are they excluding from that? And how can Holistiplan help you include everyone? So I really like that.
Right.
Some of you have asked in the chat, what are your average, what's your average turnout for a taxes and retirement workshop if we were to host something with white gloves? So 59 years old is going to be the average age of our workshop registrant, and anywhere between 50 and 75. Usually they have around 450K in assets under advisement per new client if you're winning clients with us. There's some case studies at the bottom. Because of purposes of time, you're going to get these slides. You can review all this content. There were even more that I wanted to add to the slide, but I didn't want to just overwhelm you guys with different case studies and what advisors have had success with us. But 12 appointments, $1.7 million client closed within 1 month. You can see on the right, Brian, who's a 5th-year host with White Glove. He hosts a seminar once a month in the fall, and this is how sort of that looks for him as far as revenue being brought into the door, which is awesome as far as assets under management being brought into the door. So lots of good content here that you can work through. When I give you the slides, you can see when we host webinars for our advisors, we do everything. We do the marketing, we do the follow-up, we help you with content, with strategy, the White Glove University strategies. But you can see here when we essentially order how many people are going to show up, which on average is anywhere between 16 to 20 households. That's the HH you're seeing on that first line of the graph here. Below is how many are actually showing up. And so you can see that the numbers have just continued to climb up over the years. And webinars are a very effective strategy, and they surpass what you even order. So moving beyond, we're going to launch one last poll, folks. We want to hear from you. And again, we'll make this quick because you've got some questions here. We appreciate all your patience with us. But we want to know, now that we've talked about all these different topics, the marketing, the webinars, the different strategies, what are you most inspired to take action on next? And then we're going to open it up to Q&A and give you a pathway where you can talk with us if you have any further questions. Okay.
And while we are waiting for that, I know there's quite a few that's popped in, like they're trying to enable the marketing kit on our side. So I think this was a blunder on my end. I just assumed, so I should not assume. You actually have to enable the marketing kit for your entire firm. So if you have not done that, go to settings, and under settings, there is a tab called security settings. Once you click on that, you'll be able to scroll down, firm preferences, just toggle the marketing kit on. And then once you do that, you will be able to see that under the tools and resources, it will now show up as marketing toolkit in the bar there. So you do have to enable it first, like I mentioned, settings, security settings, and then toggle it on for your firm.
Thank you for clarifying that. No worries at all. I just shared back the results, everyone. Looks like a lot of you are excited about better positioning taxes in your marketing. Equally, a lot of you want to run a webinar on the topic of taxes. So stay with me, because I'm going to give you a quick way to get a one-on-one session on that, where we can answer even more of your questions. Many of you want to do all of the above. A lot of you want to use Holistiplan, but I'm not surprised to see that number is the smallest, because most of you probably already use Holistiplan, because Holistiplan rocks. So thank you for being here, for taking that quiz and those polls with us. We'll let you read through the key takeaways when you get the slides. I do want to give you a quick way to get in touch with us. There's 2 pathways for you here. Torie, where can people go to learn more about Holistiplan, sign up, and get the marketing kit?
Yeah, so if you guys want to learn more, info at holistiplan.com. I am also on Twitter or X, or whatever we are calling that platform. I think I will always and forever call it Twitter, at Torie Happe. So my first and last name. Also LinkedIn, if you wanted to connect there, same at Torie Happe, Happe. Yeah, so if you want to connect there, happy to, chat in the DMs, get your questions answered there, but generally info at holistiplan.com.
I love it. I love that advisors can contact you directly. The same goes for me. I will offer everyone on this call a one-on-one personalized webinar session. So you get some strategy on your market, the topics. You can ask all of the questions. Go to whiteglove.com/Diana. In fact, if I can, I'll drop it in the chat for you. But when you go to that page, you're going to see a little form pop up that looks just like this. If you fill out that information, everyone's going to know that you're coming from the webinar today. They'll be in touch with you to book some time with you, and then you can talk about a webinar strategy. If that's too much to ask, I completely get it. If you simply go in the chat right now and type in the word webinar, then we will make sure to get your information, pass it along to our executive marketing consultants who are experts on the topic of webinars as a growth strategy, and they will reach out to you. So again, if you don't want to go to this website, just type in the word webinar in the chat right now, and we will make sure to follow up with you. We'll send you a link to book a call for your one-on-one webinar strategy session. All right, we're going to go to those questions now because we're running out of time. And I promised you guys that we would answer a lot of your questions. I want to shout out the team because they've also been answering a lot of questions by typing throughout the webinar. So, Francis, I answered your question on what age group responds the most to tax planning webinars and seminars. So, we're seeing on average around 59. But again, you can really, if you don't want to use white glove and you want to kind of position this to your own tune or for different audiences, go right ahead. Some of our advisors do both. They use white glove, they get inspiration. They're also running their own webinars alongside the ones that we're hosting for them at white glove. Elena, do you have an example of what this sheet looks like, or how does the client get access to the types of Roth conversions? Torie.
Yeah, Elena, if you want to drop me an email, Torie, Torie Happe, Happe at holistiplan.com. I will get you over a example of those Roth conversion worksheets for you so you can see that. But yes, I can send that over.
Awesome. Okay. Ryan says, how can Holistiplan help business owners optimize tax planning when they file separate returns for the business that isn't reflected in their personal returns?
Yeah, Ryan, great question. So you have found our Achilles heel in some ways. We do not do business returns yet. We hear that time and time again from clients that they would love to see business returns. So we are only working with the individual return for right now. But again, I think you can still model out, do some customization models or in our scenario analysis tool to show, their business in there. But we don't have, again, the one click if you must with the business returns yet.
Okay. That's a great answer. And honestly, this is, again, like you said, the Achilles heel and where you guys are working to improve. You're welcome, Ryan. He says, thank you. Okay, so let's see here. Josh already got his question answered. I love when that happens, Josh. Brian, yes, we'll send you a copy of the slides. Bryce, thank you for saying thank you. And Sam, okay, we've got some folks in the Q&A as well that are saying webinar. So guys, that's totally cool. I'm going to take a quick screenshot, or our web concierge will. We'll make sure to send that over to you. And then Tom says, thank you. I found how to change it in settings. Now has access to the marketing kit. Tatiana uses Holistiplan and would like the copy of this presentation. So Tatiana, we will absolutely be sure to send this copy over to you. I think one of our last few questions here, I started with LPL and purchased Holistiplan when I was with LPL. I'm no longer with LPL. I'm with HBKS, which is that Horner? No, no. Wealth Advisors now. Do you know if Holistiplan is compliance approved? There's too many of those in this industry.
I know. So I saw that acronym too, and I didn't know it. So Rob, I will have to dig into what is HBKS and tell you from there. So again, just drop me a line. Happy to answer that question. And if you are still under the LPL kind of branding, please let us know. We can fix that for you as well.
And it's torie.happe@holistiplan.com.
That is correct. Yep.
Okay, cool. Rob, so I just sent that your way. Joseph, will you list in Q&A the equipment you're using for lighting and mic? You mentioned the mic, but I didn't catch it. Here's what I can do, because I actually already sent the link to my mic, and I'm going to send it now to everyone. So that is the microphone that I use. And the lighting is called eMart. If you type this in on Amazon, you will find it. But I will say this, it's a little obnoxious. It comes with 2 huge light boxes. I only use one. And I think it's wonderful, but it might be too big for your space. It really depends on your space. Lighting is weird. Like, it depends on your window, where that's at in your office, how big your office is, all of the things. But right now I have some natural light coming in from my window. I find that shutters that open and close are perfect for adjusting your light, by the way, because light is a reflection. You have to move it. And then I use the light box in the back. So search that on Amazon. Hopefully that helps. All right, we still have a lot of people here on with us live. So if you're missing your next meeting because of us, we are so sorry. But it sounds like some of you don't have another
We
meeting, so you're
appreciate you
still
though.
here. Yeah, we really love you right now. Okay, and we got some more folks in the chat. I'll just reiterate, folks, if you do want to book a one-on-one webinar strategy session with our executive marketing consultants, just type the word webinar in the chat. And we'll make sure to send you a link to that. Zaid just asked in the chat microphone. If you scroll up in the chat, Zaid, I just sent the link to everyone for that microphone.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
think someone asked which one I use. I use the same. It's the blue
Blue Yeti.
one that she's got there. Yeah, Yeti. I was like,
Yep.
it's the cooler, but it's not a
Yep.
cooler, guys.
Not the cooler Yeti. Someone asked about the cost of white glove coaching, getting the webinar ready. So I put this slide back up and you can see here, this is on whiteglove.com/Diana. Our price for webinar starts at $249 per attending household. Again, we do everything. We train you, we get you ready, we market the thing, we're going to fill the room for you. We do all of the pre, during, and post webinar follow-up and engagement. You have a concierge on the line with you. I'll just add some of our advisors, they want to record it and then we host it for you and it feels live. We've got live people on the chat, but it's not actually live. So if that's something that you want to consider, some of our advisors do that as well. So hopefully that answers your question. All right, we're going to do just like one or two more questions, folks, because I don't want to keep Torie for too long. She's been so gracious with her time with me already. Torie, Elena asks, do you recommend the prospect uploads in Holistiplan directly or that the advisor does it for them?
Yeah, so right now we are an advisor facing tool. So we don't have the capability yet for you to send like a link to a client for them to click on it and upload that return on your own. They would need to send you the return and then you, the advisor, are uploading the return into the system. So it's very much advisor driven to get the upload into the platform. So the ask would be, again, please send me your return and then I will in turn turn around and send you that report.
Yep. Awesome. Okay. And then I think that might be it. Yeah, that's it. Those are all of our questions. Torie, thank you so very much for coming on and doing this webinar with me. You have just so much information in your mind and your brain. It's a beautiful thing that you came to share it with us. Again, folks, if you want to talk to Torie and the team, info@holistiplan.com. That's where you can sign up, get your free marketing kit. And then I've already mentioned a few times, whiteglove.com/Diana. We'll be in touch if you typed the word webinar in the chat. We hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thanks for joining us.